When teams are hitting their individual goals, but the organization is still falling short, it's often not a performance problem. It's a design problem. When engineering is celebrating that they are shipping quality code on time, while the sales team is explaining to customers why their promised features are not ready, something's broken. When the product team launches a new innovation, while the operations team is drowning in stability issues, you have a problem. These teams are not failing. They are succeeding at different things because they are optimizing for different outcomes. Research strongly suggests that the vast majority of people in organizations are not sure what their company is actually trying to achieve. Isn't that crazy? This is not because people are not smart. It's because the systems we create, often as leaders, are created where teams cannot see how their work connects to anybody else's. Here's how the old approach used to work. Leadership would create these great objectives. They'd hand them down to the managers, who would translate them for their teams. And by the time it reaches the actual front lines, the original intent that these leaders wanted for their organization gets lost. Teams end up making great goals that make sense in isolation, but then they create chaos when they intersect with other teams' priorities. The powerful shift is to make goals visible and negotiated across the organization, not just within reporting lines. Before finalizing your quarterly objectives, bring the teams together who actually depend on one another to get this thing done. Not just their leaders, but the actual people doing the work. Have them share what they are trying to accomplish and why it matters. Then, ask the question that surfaces the real conflicts. Looking at what we have committed to each other to do, where do you see tensions or discrepancies that could create problems? The goal is not for people to give up their objectives. It's to find the places where goals genuinely conflict so that you can facilitate intentional trade-offs, instead of letting teams discover that conflict when it's too late. The second move is creating shared metrics for work that crosses team boundaries. When launching something that requires engineering or product and customer success, do not give each of them their own separate goals. Create one metric that they all care about, like time from sale to customer value realization, or customer reported incidents per release. When teams share a metric, they stop negotiating against each other and start problem solving together. It's magical. The hardest part is what comes next though. Intentional prioritization at the company level. When you see genuine conflicts between important goals, it's not helpful to tell both teams to figure it out. This is where leadership is crucial. It's a leader's job to make sure that these trade-offs are made explicit. Maybe this quarter stability wins over new features. Maybe next quarter it flips. You have to figure that out for your own organization. The key is that the trade-off is decided intentionally and communicated clearly so that teams are not stuck trying to optimize for contradictory objectives. When these trade-offs are not clarified at the leadership level, the conflict does not disappear. It gets pushed down to the teams who lack the context or authority to resolve it. And eventually they're going to be held accountable for when things fall apart. The accountability trap happens when people are held responsible for outcomes that they cannot control because the system is working against them. A leader's role is not just to set the goals. It's to design the system where those goals can actually occur. Make goals visible across teams. Create shared metrics for cross-functional work, and ensure explicit trade-offs are made, especially when priorities genuinely conflict. When you do this, you're not just improving coordination. You are building a system where people can actually succeed at what matters. If you lead a team that depends on other teams, try bringing them together for one conversation about goals before your next planning cycle and see what surfaces. Drop a comment and share what you discover.